Welcome to Motive and Malice. Imagine this. It's the pre-dawn hours of November 25th, 2019. In Dresden, Germany, a fire suddenly erupts at an electrical box, plunging a whole section of the city into darkness. But this was no accident. It was the opening move in one of the most audacious art heists in modern history, targeting the legendary Green Vault.
The reaction was just immediate shock. You can hear it in the words of Marion Ackerman, the director of the collection. She said, "I don't have to tell you how shocked we are by the brutality of this break-in. This wasn't just a robbery, you see. It was felt as a direct assault on culture, on history itself. The cost was, as she said, immeasurable."
The press immediately started calling it the billion-euro art heist. And you have to wonder, how on earth did a handful of thieves manage to get inside a place that was basically considered a fortress? Well, let's break down exactly how they pulled it off.
The plan was just brutally efficient. Step 1, of course, was that power cut. Total darkness, no alarms. Step 2, the entry. This part is genius. Police believe that actually cut through the iron bars on a window days earlier, then carefully glued them back in place so they'd look untouched during security checks. Step 3 was pure smash and grab. Once inside the jewel room, they just went to town with an axe, shattering the display case. And finally, the escape. They were in and out in just 13 minutes, jumping into a waiting Audi that they later torched to destroy any evidence.
Now here's where it gets really chilling. As this was all going down, 2 security guards were in a control room watching the whole thing happen on live video. They saw the masked figures, the axe swinging, everything. But protocol was strict. You do not engage. Your only job is to alert the police and protect human life. So they had to just sit there, completely helpless, and watch as centuries of history were stolen right in front of them.
So, what was the haul actually worth? Well, the insured value was a mind-boggling 113.8 million euros. But let's be real, a number like that is almost meaningless. How do you put a price tag on a 300-year-old royal collection? You can't. It's priceless. The cultural loss was just off the charts.
And to really understand the gravity of what was lost, you have to understand the place they hit. The Green Vault isn't just some museum, it's something else entirely.
The Green Vault, or Grünes Gewölbe, was founded way back in 1723 by a guy named Augustus the Strong. He was the ruler of Saxony, a man with a serious taste for the finer things, and he wanted a treasure collection that would make everyone, even the King of France, jealous. It was designed to be this overwhelming display of wealth and power. Oh, and the name? It's pretty simple, actually. The columns in the original vault were painted this really distinct malachite green.
And the treasures the thieves went for? I mean, these were legendary pieces. They grabbed a sword with a hilt covered in more than 800 diamonds, the breast star of the Polish Order of the White Eagle, and maybe most famously, a shoulder piece or epaulette that held the incredible 49-carat Dresden white diamond. These weren't just jewels, they were symbols of an entire kingdom.
But in all of this devastation, there was one unbelievable stroke of good fortune. The single most famous jewel in the entire collection, the 41-carat Dresden green diamond, which is this incredibly rare, naturally green diamond, it wasn't even there. It was safe and sound, thousands of miles away, on loan to the Met in New York. A huge bullet dodge.
So, the question became, who on earth could pull off a crime this big, this brazen? The investigation pretty quickly started pointing in one direction, to Berlin and to a notorious organized crime family known as the Remmo Clan.
And the thing is, the Remmo Clan had a reputation for exactly this kind of thing. See, back in 2017, members of the clan broke into Berlin's Bode Museum and stole a massive 100-kilogram solid gold coin called the Big Maple Leaf. Sound familiar? It was another brazen raid on a supposedly untouchable cultural site. That coin, by the way, was never seen again. It was almost certainly melted down. So, a terrifying pattern was already there.
As soon as the connection was made, it triggered a massive police response. They codenamed it Operation Epaulette, after one of the stolen jewels. We're talking more than 1,600 officers conducting raids all across Berlin, desperately hunting for the thieves and the priceless treasures. But this hunt couldn't just stay in Germany. The biggest fear was that these one-of-a-kind pieces would be broken apart, the diamonds sold off separately on the international black market. So, the investigation went global. Interpol got involved, issuing alerts to watch borders, auction houses, even the dark web.
One of the key tools they used was something called an Interpol Purple Notice. Now, this isn't about arresting a specific person, it's more like a global memo to law enforcement warning them about a criminal's specific methods, their MO. It was a way of telling police forces everywhere, hey, watch out for thieves who sabotage power grids and pre-cut window bars, trying to prevent copycat crimes.
This case also showed the need for new tools to fight organized crime. Partly in response to heists like this, Interpol has since launched the Silver Notice. It's a program designed to help law enforcement follow the money, making it easier to trace and seize the assets of crime syndicates like the Remmo Clan. The goal is to take away the profit that drives these crimes.
For 3 long years, the case was cold. It seems like the jewels were gone for good. Most people assumed they'd been destroyed. Then, in December of 2022, out of absolutely nowhere, came a bombshell announcement. After what officials called exploratory talks with the suspect's lawyers, authorities had recovered a majority of the stolen items. A deal had been made. And this is where the story takes its most fascinating and maybe most controversial turn. We're now in the final act, the trial, a shocking plea bargain, and the very complicated reality of getting those diamonds back.
So, in exchange for lighter sentences, the defendants started to talk. This quote on screen is from Robbie Remmo's court confession. He finally admitted, "My contribution was larger than I first said. I was myself in the rooms of the Green Vault. It was a stunning admission and a key part of the deal. Trade the truth and the treasures for less time in prison."
But the recovery was far from a perfect Hollywood ending. The final tally was bittersweet. Yes, 31 pieces were returned, but many of them were in terrible shape. Bent, scratched, broken, even missing stones. And crucially, some of the most important treasures are still missing to this day, including that iconic epaulette with the 49-carat Dresden white diamond.
In May of 2023, the sentences were handed down. As you can see, 5 members of the Remmo clan got prison time, ranging from about 4.5 years up to 6 years and 3 months. A 6th man was acquitted. And it's important to remember, these sentences were much lighter than they could have been, a direct result of that deal to get the jewels back.
Which brings us right up to the present. In August 2024, after a long and painstaking restoration process, the recovered treasures finally went back on display. They're now back in the Green Vault, but this time, they're sitting behind some of the most advanced security in the world. A very painful and very expensive lesson was learned.
And all of this leaves us with a really tough ethical question. The authorities chose to make a deal, less prison time in exchange for recovering the art. So what is the right price for getting back priceless heritage? Was trading justice for the jewels the right call?
I really want to know what you think about this one. Was this the right move? Or should the thieves have faced the maximum penalty, even if it meant losing those treasures forever? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure you subscribe to Motive and Malice so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thanks for listening.